Before I throw it open to the floor, I'm going to ask both Christine and Angel just to give us their initial thoughts on the global economic environment. Just some initial thoughts, and then we'll take questions and follow where the audience leads us. Christine, do you want to say something?
Well, thank you very much, George, and thank you so much for having us to close this day-long session. Given that it's the day before the opening of this great event, the Olympics in London, I'm tempted to remember Pierre de Coubertin, who was one of the reinitiators of the Olympic spirit in many ways. And his motto was plus haut, plus loin, plus fort. Higher, that's the yield at the moment. Sometimes for no understandable reasons other than for those that are actually using them one way or the other. Plus loin, that's the global reach of the crisis. We used to complain about the crisis having started in 2008, early 2009 in the United States of America. Well, it has clearly spread out. Europe is obviously in the epicenter of the crisis at the moment, but the US is still at risk with a nice fiscal cliff. I can come back in a second to that. And emerging market economies, as mentioned this morning by both Agustin and the governor of the Central Bank of Brazil, are also under threat. And the potential growth is likely to be hampered by the crisis that we see in advanced economies. So the real hope at the moment, as we have it, is from low-income countries. And when you look at the growth rate of countries like Niger, and a few others that start from a very low base, we clearly have encouraging news. For how long is uncertain. Now, plus fort, we wish it was, and that growth was a lot stronger, which it is not at the moment. The forecast we have for 2012 is in the range of 3.5 and possibly 3.9 next year, which clearly doesn't compare with previous rates. And one actually wonders when it's going to go up again in the same sort of numbers that we had in the past. Now, I'd mentioned three risks that we see in addition to those characteristics of the plus haut, plus loin, plus fort. Risk number one, which is, now that's where you would expect me to mention the Eurozone, and I will not. Risk number one, starting west, is clearly the fiscal cliff in the United States of America, where the deficit and the debt to GDP ratios are worse actually than in the Eurozone, but where there are no 17 Congress, no 17 Supreme Courts, and no 17 governments. So presumably it should be easier, except that there's great uncertainty as to how Congress is going to actually deal with this fiscal cliff that would create a deficit reduction of about 4% if it was to happen next year, which would probably have a contractionary effect on growth of at least 1%, which, given the current forecast for growth in the US next year, would be very, very serious for not just the United States of America, but the whole world. That's risk number one. Risk number two is clearly the uncertainty and the sovereign debt issues and coupling between sovereign debt and bank health that we see in the Eurozone. And the third one, which is, and I'm not avoiding the issue of the Eurozone, but I think that we've heard quite a bit about it from Mario this morning. But the third one is one that we hardly mention anymore, but that might resurface again, and that's the issue of the oil price, which is clearly linked to geopolitical risks, and that could be looming again in the background. So that's, broadly brushed and without much by way of solution for the moment, the current status of the economy as I see it.